Hello and welcome to episode 51 of the Boot Nerds podcast. We'll do it again. The podcast. I'm not. That's like the opposite of a Canadian accent.
I know.
Hello and welcome to episode 51 of the Boot Nerds podcast. And is it ever going to be a busy one? What's going on, Jay?
What's up, my man? It's I sigh a little bit, but it's actually really exciting today because we've got so much stuff to talk about that I'm not sure we've got enough time. But yeah, it's this week has been jam-packed with releases, so it's gonna be a good one. Which also means that before we get started, if you enjoyed the Boot Nerds podcast and you want to see more of what we're doing right here, what you should do is leave a thumbs up on the video, and also remember to go and ask your questions if you have any to us in the comment section right down below, because I assume there will be a lot of stuff to have questions about. We have three drops today, three main drops that we should discuss. So where do you want to start, really? That's the question.
I think it only makes sense to start with the big one here, and that is finally the brand new Phantom Vision 2 Elite, which we both have some opinions on it. We're going to go over it, but I want you to first run everyone through, if they're not familiar with the boot, what exactly is going on here.
Okay, so technically, what Nike went out and did was that they updated the Vision 1 and made the Vision 2. The thing is that, let me grab the Vision 1 here. That was terrible English, by the way. So the thing is that they basically kept the DNA from the Vision 1 on the Vision 2, and they just made a few, should we call them, small adjustments to the Vision 2 to kind of make it a bit more streamlined and make it look faster and make it look cooler. So what they did was they kept the quad fit mesh that we all know about, which is this mesh that sits on the inside of the boot. And basically, normally, as you can see, it's a part of the upper material, so it's soft, it's flexible. But when you apply pressure to it, the fibers in the mesh, they tighten up and they become really strong, so as to hold your foot in place inside of the boot, provide the lockdown that you need once your foot starts moving. So they still kept that as the inner shell. They took out an extra layer of mesh to make it a bit more barefoot, but we're going to touch on that a bit later. Then they kept the entire Flyknit outer shell that we also know from the Vision 1. They have the same micro texturing with these almost like windmill-shaped pattern. The windmill-shaped micro-texturing is still there, basically. They did a little bit of adding some thicker silicone on the instep of the boot to give you a slighter, firmer, basically base for shooting and passing. Then the big thing, which is what I like the most. Now, we all know, if you've been listening to the Boot Nerds podcast, that I have a bit of a, I wouldn't call it hate, but I have a bit of a fun relationship with this flaccid collar thing on the Vision 1. Thankfully, Nike fixed it. They did it. They listened to me, or just also decided they didn't really like it. But they made it considerably lower, and they also made the knit tighter, so it's not as flappy and cheap anymore. And they added a pull string, which is actually amazing because it means that the boot went from being kind of difficult to get on to being super, super easy to just slip on. And then they kind of just updated the whole graphic design. So the whole Nike Skin silicone coating, it covers the Flyknit in a bit of a different way. The whole sock construction, or the whole, what should we call it, the lace cover that sits on top of the ghost laces, which are the same, by the way, has been perforated a little bit more. But we're talking details here. So it is largely the same tech with a few minor adjustments and the same tooling.
It's cool.
So
you already said the quote of the podcast. I feel like every podcast has like a quote from one of us that's the main highlight. I didn't hate the collar, but I would describe it as flaccid. That's excellent. I love that. You broke down all the tech specs and you did it in such a way that kind of makes it seem like this is something that's like very new. But my first impression of this boot, both in hand as well as on feet, is that it doesn't really feel that different from the original Phantom Vision. This is, I don't even know that refinement is the right word, although it is. It's a very subtle refinement over the original, because what they've basically done is I think they've increased the texturing on the outside. The triangular panel that had the most significant texturing on the original, that's basically been extended to the entire medial side of the foot with this slightly thickened up Nike Skin top layer, right? So there is, I would say, a noticeable amount of extra texturing on the surface, which means a very slight amount of extra grip on the ball. Very slight. That was what I noticed immediately. The fit of the boot feels very similar. It's on this exact same sole plate and stud pattern, which I believe you glanced over. That has not changed at all, which means that the main base shape of the boot is really exactly the same. But it seems like they've taken some of the volume away from the original, so it fits a little bit closer to your foot all the way through. And then beyond that, there's really not a huge difference. The collar is still there. I still think that it's unnecessary, even though you dislike it a lot less this time around. I think that the addition of this pull tab on the collar makes it a lot easier to put on and take off, because that was one of the things with the original Vision. Every time I put them on, because that material was so soft and flimsy, you kind of had to pull on it to get your foot in the boot, and it always felt like it was going to rip. Never did, but dangerous.
See, flimsy, that was the word I was looking for, and I went with flaccid.
That's okay.
And I don't think I've ever used that word ever before, but yeah, flimsy. And you're right. The first boot was, I mean, the Vision 1 is a good football boot. It's a comfortable football boot, and it's not too controversial. It just has, they made some questionable decisions on it, I felt, with the collar. It was just a bit, and I think that's kind of the same thing that's going on with the Vision 2. So I like what they did. I like they added the pull string. Means that it's not such a big hassle. And actually, sometimes I thought, I'm going to put on the Vision. Oh, my poor fingers, because they were just going to like almost bleed to death after, helping my heel get into the boot. So that's a definite improvement. There's also the fact that now I do feel that somehow my ankle feels a little bit better connected to the boot. Maybe it's because it's the ankle color that's tighter. So somehow it hugs my ankle a little bit better, and it makes me more aware that it's there, but without being in the way, if that makes sense. So I think they found a good height for what the sock collar should be, because you notice it's there. You get that sock sensation, but it's not really in the way, and it doesn't feel as unnecessary as I think the old one did. And for some reason, I just feel that, it makes the boot feel a little less clumsy. It makes the boot feel a little less chunky, and it feels more elegant this time around, and I really like that. Don't really have much to say in terms of touch, because to me, it's the same. It might be, maybe it's a little bit more firm on the instep, but I didn't really notice it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a subtle. If you have the Phantom Vision right now and they're not broken, there's not really a reason to run out and buy the Phantom Vision 2, because it's while you will notice a difference, I don't think that the difference you're going to notice is perhaps as significant as you might have hoped it to be, given that it is a brand new model. Look, my opinion on the Vision hasn't really changed. I think the original was a really good boot, and I think that out of Nike's entire lineup, it was the most sock-like. If you were just looking for that feeling of wearing a pair of soft, pliable socks in the form of a football boot with not too much else going on, that's what the Phantom Vision offers, and you're still getting that with the Vision 2. I think that out of the entire lineup, for me personally, on my feet, I find this to be the most comfortable boot from the Nike brand. For me.
But that's also because you have a wide foot, right?
And that, slightly flatter foot, a little bit wider through the midfoot. But yeah, I find this to be really comfortable. I really like what the Phantom Venom does. I think that's a cool boot. I love the power boot thing, as you guys know. But for me, from a comfort standpoint, I think that the Vision is a boot that honestly I'd be very happy to wear. It's just, I don't know. I'm not mad at the boot. I'm a little bit disappointed, because I think with Nike, they have this reputation of every new model coming out being such a big difference from what they did before. And this is just it's the most subtle change I can remember from a brand new Nike boot in a long time.
Yeah. And funny thing is, I actually said the exact same thing in my review of the boot, that it's, it's hard to be mad at. I actually stole one of your phrases. It's hard to be mad at, but at the same time, it's just uninspiring. It's like it's a little bit unambitious because they could have done so much with it, and they just decided to fix a few things. And of course, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. But I was expecting more after such a long life cycle to the Vision. I gotta be honest. So again, it's hard to really say it's a terrible football boot, because in fact it's not. I just expected it to be more. And in these days of there's constant innovation, brands come out with new and even more mind-blowing, jaw-dropping stuff. I just wonder, and I'm a little bit afraid on Nike's behalf, that they played it a little bit too safe, if you know what I mean. So they recognized they had a good product, and they just decided to refine it. I understand that. I'm actually fully supporting it, because the whole innovation rush and the whole innovation race can get let's be honest, a bit silly at times. But I just wish they changed a little bit more, if you know what I mean.
No, I'm with you. You're right. It's a very safe move by Nike. What do you think of the look, Jay? I'm very curious to hear everyone's opinions on how this boot looks.
Honestly, I think this looks dope. I gotta be real with you. The first time I saw it, I absolutely hated it. But the way they've played with the blocking, so you now get this chevron shape that allows the whole lace cover to really shine, and it'll also allow them to really play with some blocking on the outside, the inside. It gives them a lot of opportunities, and of course getting a more sleek and attacking minded silhouette because of the whole lower collar thing. I reckon it looks really good. Not a big fan of the swoosh. I think that's it looks a bit like an American football cleat. But if they fix the swoosh, I would be down with it, to be honest. What about you?
I'm not with you on the dopeness, I have to be honest.
What?
Look, I think that when your main criticism of the look of any form of Nike footwear is the swoosh, that is the main. I feel like every iconic Nike footwear has been the focus has been the design of where the swoosh is. And I just think that they got that wrong on this model. I think it ends up looking a lot, clunkier than it maybe needs to. Look, it's an improvement over the original Vision, because I think that's kind of a weird looking boot, although you're holding by far the best colorway.
That was so weird.
I don't know. I'm excited to see it in different colorways, to be honest with you. But I can't say that I'm in love with the way that this looks with this initial color. It's just, I don't know.
I can follow this. I'm not entirely in love with it, and the swoosh ruins a lot for me, but I think the whole blocking with the chevron, and especially if you're going to wear black socks, imagine that, how it kind of just flows into the boot, and then you have this, the Nike skin just covering the lower part of it. That would look really, really cool to me. So there's a lot of stuff I like, but it's not mind-blowingly cool, but I definitely like it a lot more than the first one, which to me was a little bit busy. And just like, it was a little bit of a mess, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. It's, again, solid boot. Looks okay. Not really a huge improvement over the original. I think if we're going to we can't just say we expected more without saying what we wanted. And honestly, I was hoping, because I knew that with the quad fit system and the Flyknit outer shell, there's not a lot for them to mess around with in regards to those two elements. That's kind of what defines the Phantom Vision concept. But I really expected something more aggressive and extreme and significant, honestly, with the texturing, whether it was the introduction of some kind of a rubber element or, I don't know, something that just made a bigger difference than what they've done here, which is very noticeable to the touch, but a lot less noticeable on the ball, I would say.
And that's also what I would say I agree with, that I wanted something different on the upper texturing, because, yeah, okay, they could also have worked on the tooling, and maybe they should have. I agree they shouldn't really have meddled with the quad fit mesh. That's just, it's there and it works and it's cool. But I definitely wanted something more to change on the upper, and to me it's a little bit too familiar, it's a little bit too safe. It worked, definitely, but I mean, if they actually have a vision, pun intended, for the Vision 2, then it seems like, have they reached their, has it reached its potential? Do they know what they want to do with it? if you know what I mean. What's the plan going forward with this? What are they going to do now that they fixed the color, which was, at least for me, the main thing? Like,
yeah, there's no logical reason as to why this needed to be a Phantom Vision 2, right? Because I look at the Magista lineage, right? Magista Obra 1, obviously very important. Magista Obra 2 was a clear, based on that original with the Flyknit concept, but introduced something that we had never seen before and warranted having a brand new product. Then Phantom Vision built on that concept once again, and now we have this Vision 2 that's just it's kind of the same thing.
But is it like, is the whole Magista DNA, is that outdated now? Do people want something else? I'm just asking the question. I'm not sure I have the answer, but I just feel, if this is what they did after a year and a half with the Vision 2, like this is what they can do with the boot, with the whole silo. I mean, do they know where they want to go, and have they run out of ideas? And it sounds ridiculous to say because it's actually a good football boot. But I'm just like, why haven't they done more?
Yeah.
You feel me?
You're right. You know what? I feel like Nike is one of the brands they're very reluctant to do something really different unless they feel confident in whatever new technology they're trying to pursue. I feel like the best boots throughout Nike's history is whenever they've had this new breakthrough technology that we've never seen before. And then the in-between boots kind of come out being a little bit unextraordinary. And this is one of those in-between boots where I don't know that it's fair to say that they're out of ideas, but I think what's the next big thing in the pipeline for this concept of a football boot, it's just not ready for the market yet. So they're pretty much putting this out in the meantime, which, I mean, I guess I'm okay with. This is a more significant change than what we've seen many times from Adidas, where they do the 18 to 19 and basically change nothing. So like it's not quite to that extreme, but again, if you had the Phantom Vision 1, you're going to have a very 90% of the same experience with the Vision 2.
Yes, I agree. And tell me it wouldn't look better like this without the sock. I know it's there for a reason and to guide your foot in the quad fit and all that stuff, but you're making a fair point. I mean, should we just let it be what it is and say that it's a very good boot? It's not like they haven't reinvented the wheel, but it's a solid football boot, and it's actually considerably better and less annoying than the first Vision.
Cool.
I mean, that's a pretty fair assessment, right?
Cool. Stay tuned to the Boot Nerds podcast, and the Vision 3 episode will be coming soon.
I just thought of one thing, right? Because here we are, sat here, we're talking about, the innovation race is going on, and, our brands forced to push out new innovation all the time. Maybe they should just, refine them here and there, and we should accept that they can't do this all the time. And here we are, at least myself, sat here expecting newness all the time. And if they don't bring out something mind-blowingly new after a year and a half, because, now is not the right time, then we slag them off.
Is it a year and a half, or wasn't it 2 years? Am I mistaken? I think it was a full 2 years.
Nah, wasn't it after?
I want to say the first Vision launched in January.
That was after the World Cup. It was after the World Cup, man.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because they had the Magista Obra 2s at the World Cup for the Just Do It pack.
You know what? I don't think it's us saying that we are expecting too much from a new product, but I think Nike has built this reputation of everything new that they come out with introduces something that's intriguing, right? Where even if it's not your style of boot, I think what the Nike brand has always done well is like, hey, there's something about that boot that no other product has, and I am curious to see what that feels like, and I can only get it from that product. With the Phantom Vision 2, they're not introducing anything that wasn't a thing on the original Vision. So I think if you tried the original Vision, unless you absolutely love the way that this boot looks, I don't see them attracting new customers to the Phantom Vision line with what they've done here. And I think that's the issue that we both have.
But then again, people also buy the new iPhone. A lot of people went from the 10 to the 11 for no good reason. I still have the 10. I couldn't be bothered making the switch just for an extra camera and a little bit more juice. But, this is basically what the Vision 2 is. Do you know what I mean? Is it actually okay that they took something and they got a lot of positive feedback from their wear test, and people like that it's just, it's ready to go out of the box. It feels broken in from right out of the box. Is it okay to say, okay, we feel we have a good recipe here. This works. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. You and me and everyone, kind of putting down the hammer over new boots. Are we the problem here? I don't have the answer. I don't think we are. but do you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. But look, I think we're both in a position where when a new model comes out, people come to us because not only do they want to know how good that new product is as a whole, they also want to learn about what's different from the product that it replaces it. And I mean, to use the iPhone example, I think an extra camera or a better camera as it's presented and more battery life, I think those are two major features that people really value in any kind of a cell phone, let alone an iPhone, right? So those are very important elements where I think if you compare the Vision 1 and the Vision 2, what am I realistically able to say in all honesty on what's different? There is slightly more texturing. They added a pull tab. They lowered the collar, and it fits a little slimmer. Beyond that, there's really nothing significant that has changed, which I don't think that any of those features are exciting enough to draw people into buying the Phantom Vision 2, again, unless they're just in love with the concept and in love with the way that they look.
Yeah, I can accept that. Okay, but enough talk about the Phantom Vision 2, because we are moving on to a point where you are seeing for the first time a brand new Puma Pack that also just dropped today. Of course, by the time this drops, you most likely will have seen it already, but at the time we record this, you haven't seen it yet, so you can go ahead and open your email now, Josh.
I am looking at it right now for the first time, and
okay.
Is this like an orange or a yellow in person?
It's yellow.
It's yellow. I like it, especially the Future. The Future much more so than the One.
Future is very cool. It reminds me a lot about the first launch colorway of the Future 18.1, the one that actually dropped as a teaser boot before the yellow one. That was the main colorway.
My immediate thought was a Bumblebee. Immediate.
Of course,
that's what I thought.
That's fair play. And of course, the Puma City Pack Copenhagen Unisport collaboration, right?
Yeah, a little bit like that too.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
Fair enough. Okay. What do you think about the One? Because the One obviously has been updated, so it's now not a 1.5.1 anymore. It's a 1.20.1 because they changed a little bit of the foam structuring on the leather, and that's it, right?
Yeah, that is about it. That sums it up.
Talking of insignificant updates, but it is what it is. Come on. Anyway, I like the look of the One. It's funny how did you see the boots that Aguero got for scoring the hat trick and breaking the records?
I did. I thought those looked really cool. Actually,
they're really cool, and the whole pattern that I don't know what you would call it, wavy, vibey pattern is also seen on the 120.1
on this new one.
Spark.
Yeah. It's a good color. I mean, it's actually, what was the color? I'm trying to think of the orange used on, they did it for Superfly 4 and Vapor 10.
That was the Hyper Punch.
No, not that
one. Oh, yeah,
that orange color? It's almost it's a very similar shade to this. Very popular color.
Actually,
laser orange is what it was.
It's a little brighter, I would say, from what I've seen. But yeah, it's in that ballpark.
Yeah,
so what do you reckon?
I quite like it.
What do you reckon? Better or worse than the launch color of the Future?
I like this way more than the launch color personally. I appreciate this color based on the fact that it's just two colors. I think there's too much pressure these days for brands to incorporate 3, 4, even 5 colors on one boot. And it can look good, but I think that it's much easier to make something. The Future is already such a busy design. There's so much happening. I think it's just better to do 2 colors. Yeah. The One I'm not as crazy about, to be honest. I don't know. I've never been in love with the look of the One.
Okay.
But it's okay.
I'm kind of hurt about this.
Really? You're the opposite. You have the opposite opinion of me.
Look, how can you not love this thing?
But that has like, there's so much more going on with that boot versus this one.
Go on.
Right? Go on. Yours is, Jay, you did a much better job, I think, than what this new Puma is.
Continue. You know what? I agree. I don't think the 20.1 and the 5.1 did look as good as the 18.1 and all the 18.1 colorways and the 19.1 for that matter. I think it's a better pack for me. It simply just looks better, and the future is just it's miles ahead of that baby blue. Nah, that wasn't for me. So solid job, Puma. Now this was already like an overwhelming thing because alongside the Vision 2, and we can just quickly touch on that, Nike also released their brand new Future Lab pack. And a black pack as well. So it's all cool, but there's more. Because New Balance also wanted to play, and they released new boots as well. Amongst those, the brand new Furon V6. And you might think that looks like a Vapor, and it kind of does. But you know what? It's actually really good.
It looks, I mean, at this point, as we're recording this, I've seen pictures of it. Obviously, New Balance showed it about a week ago now. I've yet to have them in my hands. I've yet to have them on my feet, but I'm very intrigued by it. What is that upper like, and what is it made out of?
It is soft AF. It's actually, I was really surprised when I saw it because I thought, you know, fit weave, it can only be so soft. And I thought with the whole texturing on top of it, that reminds me a little bit of those 3D bumps from the Hypervenom Phantom 3s. I thought, okay, it's gonna be a little bit stiff, but it's not. It's actually really soft. Think knit that has been broken in and worn well for like 2 hours with a very warm foot inside. So it's really softened up. This is like that, straight out of the box. So really soft, has a little bit of foam on the inside. They call it fit weave, which is their basically their way of knitting the upper, giving it a little bit of the same strength that we know from the Vapor boots. Not exactly done in the same way, but that's what they're looking at. They've obviously upgraded their whole construction, so you have what feels at least like a one-piece design going from the vamp into the tongue. They have updated their outsole. So now it's actually got properly sized studs, and I'm extremely excited to actually give it a proper go because this forefoot be snappy, and I like it. The midfoot is stiff, the boot is light. I mean, I don't really know what to hate about it. It's not as light as the Vapor or the X or well the one for that matter. It's a little bit heavier, but I guess I can live with it. This is a great alternative to some of the big speed boots out there, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, at least from a visual standpoint, I think the most appealing speed boot that New Balance has done to date. And New Balance, I got to give them some credit. They seem to have every new model improves upon the last. And this looks like this is the first significant design change, I would say, that they've done to the Furon line. I don't know. I'm very curious to try it out. And I hope that if it is as good as I'm hoping it's going to be, that people legitimately give this brand a shot. Because, I think the Tequila 1 and 2 were both really good boots. And your opinion could vary on that. And I think New Balance has had some solid products over the years. But the issue is that people just haven't given them a fair shake. And I think this might be the first one where if it lives up to the hype, I hope people give it a try.
I think from just having tried it, walking around it for a little bit, it actually feels like something I wouldn't mind swapping my Vapor for, here and there. I don't think I'd let it replace the Vapor. It's not that good, but it legitimately feels like a good alternative to the Vapor. It's sleek. It has a really, really snappy outsole from what I can tell. So yeah, unless it really, really bombs on the pitch, then I don't see how it can't be a very, very strong alternative and a strong contender for one of the go-to speed boots out there at the moment. It's literally that good on foot, at least. And that's a big step up from the previous Furons that have felt a little bit, restrictive, and they haven't really felt that comfortable. Let's be honest about it. Their outsoles, their studs haven't been the grippiest in the world. And it feels like they did a reset and just thought, you know what, let's do something wicked. And they did. Yeah, some people will argue it's a Vapor copy, but I mean, you can only do so many variations of knitted uppers on speed boots. It's just the way it is.
I really don't like the comparison of that boot looks like a Mercurial or that boot looks like a Vapor. I think if you make a product that has a thin upper that's designed to fit your foot very close, you're ultimately going to end up with something that looks kind of like a Mercurial. That's kind of what speed boots look like. So I'm not sure that that's a fair comparison that I know a lot of people will and already have made. I don't know. I'm just curious to give it a go because like we've talked about in previous Boot Nerds episodes, I think New Balance is a brand that has confused me based on the fact that they're not a nobody company. Like if you've ever gone in a New Balance store and checked out the running shoes and the materials and the technologies that they have, that has not made its way to the New Balance football boots until the 6th generation of Furon, which it seems like we're finally getting some of that stuff. I don't understand how that happened, but I'm very excited to give these a go. And again, I have this confidence about New Balance. It's just a matter of them actually proving me right.
And it's taken, they've been around in the football industry since like when 15? They joined in 15?
Yeah.
Take over from Warrior. It's been 4 years, and I think this is legitimately the first speed boot that I'd really wear out there from New Balance. So let's hope that they've gotten going, if you can say that in English, I don't know. But let's hope that they've, they're running full speed now. So
and like just full transparency, so it doesn't seem we're just being really nice to New Balance for some reason. The very first Furon is quite honestly one of the worst football boots I have ever worn in my life.
Yes.
Like borderline unwearable. So,
but this is why I'm so happy. But just to make sure that people understand why we're excited about this, because as you said, the first Furon was terrible. Second Furon, absolutely terrible. Third Furon didn't feel like a speed boot. 4 and 5 have been okay, and then there's the case of the Visaro, where the Visaro 2s was almost as bad as the first Furon. So New Balance, they made a lot of promises with the first Visaro, and then they've just disappointed us again and again and again. And not really, when they've made decent boots, they just haven't made waves. And this is why I'm excited, because yes, I really like the Tequila 1 and 2s, but I think this can be a catalyst for New Balance to actually go just beyond the boot nerd, let me try something else circles. Do you know what I mean?
No, I think it's always better, and some of the most exciting times in football boots is when every brand has something that's legitimately very good, right? Because I think there have been stints in terms of speed boots, at least, where it's like if you didn't buy a Superfly or a Vapor, you just were making a bad choice. But now you have the Mercurials that are great. I think the X line is really good right now. I think that Puma with the Future and the One, whether you want to categorize either of them as speed boots, they're both really good products. This is a contender. Mizuno has the Morelia Neos, which are really good boots right now. There's just so many great options out there that while you could argue that the Mercurial is the best of the best in terms of like raw speed boot, I think that because you have all these options, it pushes everybody forward, and we end up with some exciting products because of it.
I couldn't agree more. These are good times, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see more good stuff coming in the coming weeks, because it is January, and this is when people drop exciting stuff. So let's see. There's plenty to talk about. Josh, before we round off, should we take a few questions? Couple of questions.
We definitely can do that. I have the questions here because in the last episode, for those that watched, apparently Jay failed at picking questions that we didn't answer before. At least according to the comment section.
I'm sorry.
we were talking about this before, and I asked him, like, did we read the same questions that we read before? Because I don't think we did. And he's like, it didn't seem like we did, but apparently the comments said otherwise. So,
the thing is, it was a new year, and I usually save a lot of questions in my notes, and apparently I had it deleted all of the ones we use. So I just thought, these are good questions.
So well,
yeah.
It's okay. That happens. So this is a question from Team. Is it Team Jest or Team Geist? How are you supposed to say that,
bro?
I've never known how to say that.
Okay,
properly.
so Team Geist is German. It means team spirit. So it's Team Geist.
Okay.
But how did you say Team Geist?
I said Team Geist and then Team Geist. I don't know. I'm not German.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
All right.
But Team Geist, yeah.
He says
a regular viewer of the Boot Nerds podcast, by the way. Big up,
yes, regular viewer. He says, "Hey, Jensen Button and May Jike." Great one. Do you think many of today's colorways are just too busy with all the graphics, pretentious writing, iridescent finishes, metallic coatings, and 7 different vibrant colors on every boot? Wouldn't we all love more simple colorways with a white, black base and 1 accent color? What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I totally agree. I was gonna pull out the Vision. I just dropped it on the floor, but I'll get it while you talk. But yes, I totally agree.
Yeah, I think that colorways have gotten way too complicated for the most part, but I also don't think that doing white and black based colorways regularly would be the right decision either. I still think that bright colors are what the vast majority of consumers tend to want. But yeah, I think simplifying things does most of the time result in better colorways. But I don't know about you, Jay, but I feel like I am no longer in touch with the younger generation in regards to what is good looking and what is not. Because there's some boots that I see coming down the pipeline and I'm like, oh my God, that is horrible. And then it comes out and everyone loves it. And I'm like, wow, okay, maybe I'm just way off on this one.
Yeah, maybe. I think you're right. And I just wanted to bring out the Vision 2s again, because I actually think there's something to what Team Guy says, that the simpler, the better for me. And this is why I actually like the way it looks. It's just 2 blocks, 2 different colors, no nonsense. And there's a lot of options here. Whereas, on other boots that just have a lot of blocks and writings and 7,000 colors on it. It's just not... it's just not me, but maybe I'm just getting old. But definitely 100% yes. I think they get a little busy.
Yeah, for sure. Here's a question from Nixon Sanchez. He says, do you guys think that brands will ultimately come to a halt soon because of so much technology and advancement that they've run out of ideas?
No. I think we will always see innovation. And especially in these times where, I don't think the brands have run out of ideas. I just think that they are waiting. They're being tactical about it, because I think if they gave us everything they have right now, they could blow us away for the next 6 months with new products every week, and we would be like. But I think it's also about finding out when to drop it and finding out, do we need to drop it right now? How far ahead are we of the competition? They're using these big innovations as, I think, tactical weapons. That sounds ridiculous. I can hear that, but it might. I don't know where you stand on this, but I don't see the brand slowing down anytime soon. I think they're doing it on purpose.
We're gonna see new stuff constantly. That's never gonna change. I don't. We've talked about this many times at this point on this podcast, but I don't see another huge leap anytime soon. I feel like the mid-cut sock thing was the big leap that we were going to see over the next 10, 20 years. I mean, I could be totally wrong on that, but I think what needs to be understood with these brands when they do put out something brand new is that they have to be really confident in it. Because I think when you do introduce something that's never been done before, like as successful as the Magista Obra and the Superfly 4 were, that easily could have been the exact opposite reaction. Like imagine if the response was super negative.
Yeah. Same thing with Adidas and Laceless, right?
It's everything that, as far as like the progression of technology, it's all based on what the response is when that product launches. The positive response of those mid-cut sock boots has completely affected not only all the boots from Nike moving forward, but every other brand, because they're all trying to do something along those lines, because clearly there's an interest for that type of product. Where you look at the Nemesis 19 Plus, they went for something bold, never been done before, and the response was bad. So will they do that again? Are they going to pursue that technology and concept? Probably not.
Probably not, no.
Right? So there's a huge risk associated with that, especially for a big brand where, again, they launch something, like they launched this Phantom Vision right now. I think that Nike probably already produced the next 6 colorways already, right? So it's not like they can just launch this and then, the response is bad, let's make something new in 3 months. It doesn't work like that. So
and they know what's gonna happen 2 years down the line. Of course they do. This is what it's not just like, a new technology pops up and then well, let's do it. It takes time, so they will know. I think they will have some sort of roadmap for how to take things forward. Be strategic about it. I think the next big thing might drop in 2022 for the next World Cup. That's usually how it goes.
What I also think, if we are going to see another huge thing, I think every brand is trying to position themselves to introduce that technology in a way where it's proprietary to them.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the thing. Even
PUMA,
if Nike
Future,
can, right? Nobody else can do that. Adidas more or less has kind of locked down the laceless thing to where I think other brands could get away with doing laceless, but their main competitor, Nike, I don't think it would be a good idea for them to try and do a laceless boot, right? So that's the thing. Whatever big thing is coming next, I think whatever brand introduces it is going to do it in such a way where they really try to make it look like if anybody else tries to do it, it's a copy of their product. Yeah. Which is smart. It only makes sense for them to do that.
Look, I would do the same thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
So Nike, Adidas, and Puma, if you're listening, let's talk business. I'll take 10%, 15% because today. This is the deal. This is who am I kidding? But yeah, I think you're making a good point.
Yep. I got a question here from Brian PNG. He asks, "Hi Jay and Julian, Happy New Year! Happy New Year to you too,
Happy
Brian.
New Year.
How do pros play with a 10-year-old pair of throwback boots in a game without them falling apart on them midway through the game?" I thought this was an interesting question because we are seeing a lot of pros seeking out these older favorites. And I get this question a lot too, where I think a lot of people, they want to get like these old T90s or old Predators or old Mercurials. There's a lot of older boots that people really like. And the question is, if they spend this crazy resale price on this boot, how long are they going to last given that they've been sitting for 10 to 15 years?
It's a good question. I mean, some of the boots I have that are 10 years old, I don't know how long they'd last if I broke them out now, but at least I know I've kept them well. I've kept them in a proper environment. I've stored them under the right temperature and humidity and all that stuff. And I think that the guys that these pros buy their boots from usually will do the same thing to make sure that they stay as crisp as possible. So, I can't give you exact details, but that would be my guess, that they simply buy from people who know how to store these older boots right, so as to make sure the glue and materials don't fall apart.
Yeah, I think it's really unlikely that there's any. If you're buying an old boot and it's brand new, I think it's pretty unlikely that it's going to fall apart on you during like one or two wears. But long term, I mean, it's something that definitely could be an issue. I mean, the materials, glues, synthetics, even leathers, they tend to dry up over time, regardless of whether or not they're stored in a proper condition. So, I mean, it's you kind of do it at your own risk. But when you're talking about a footballer that makes millions of dollars and paid $200 or maybe even got these boots for free, he just wants to wear them in that one match and he doesn't really care what happens. So it's not really a big deal, right? So
True.
Yeah,
I think they have different attitudes to all this stuff than we do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Got a question here from Fads Fids. Quite a name. Says, "Hi guys, I know both of you love Mizuno Morelia Neo and Adidas F50 Adizero 2014. On the comfort and performance aspects, which one do you prefer more?"
Neo for comfort, and I would probably also go for. Can I take the betas?
I was gonna say I take the betas over a 2014 F50 Adizero.
Yeah, same.
Personally, not to say that the 2014 F50 Adizero is not fantastic, and I think if you prefer a synthetic upper, you should probably go for that one. You'll probably like it more.
One of the best. And the tooling for a speed boot was better to me, but at the end of the day, I feel the Neo 2 betas are the better football boots, and they make me feel better and faster on my toes than the 2014 Adizeros, which I love, by the way. So it's a very difficult question, but yeah, I'd take the betas.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I would, but I wouldn't cry having to take the Adizeros because they're awesome.
No, and I've seen Jay cry about certain boots. So
yeah, Yeah, I do.
not
All right,
gonna
so
cry about those.
last question. Choose wisely. Yeah, let's move on from the whole crying thing.
All right, so I have a question here from Michael because I can't read the rest of his name. I have no chance. It's like OGO Tuama. That's my attempt at that. You're much, Jay, I have to say, you're the one who normally you're the one who normally reads these. You do a much better job at the names than I do.
That the Irish dude, yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Irish names is difficult. Go on.
Yeah. Is that Irish? Is that what that name would be?
I think so.
Wow. All right, cool. He says, hello, Jarlath and Jay. Good name. As boot reviewers, when you lads play on your own time, do you change colorway to colorway like the pros? And then he says an example. So Jay, are you still rocking the orange vapors from the review in the summer? Sometimes I'm stuck between buying new bangers or holding it out with my trusted pair.
For me, no. Also because of a funny thing that's going on in my football club. So every time, basically more or less every training, when there's new stuff coming out, I just wear a new pair of boots, and it's become kind of a running joke right now that what is Jay wearing today? Whether I'm going like old school, going back in time, rocking some old Adipure 4SLs or Hypervenom 1s, or if I'm just rocking whatever latest colorway has dropped. So no, I don't really. I don't think I wear my boots for as long as most other people do, because we've got new colorways coming in. We're doing videos with that, and it's just a little bit more fun now that you have them to rock them out, and people get so outraged at training that, Jay, new boots again. Oh, yeah. And yeah, so yeah, I've kind of excluded myself from all the things where you have to pay every time you bring out a new pair of boots to training. You have to pay a lot of money. I've kind of just said, yeah, that's not happening, because I would be a very poor man.
No, I like typically when I test out a brand new product, it's usually the launch colorway. And if I'm going to continue to wear that boot, I'll typically continue to wear the launch colorway, because I feel like the older I've gotten, the more I appreciate a slightly more broken in boot. I don't know. I just dealing with discomfort and potential blistering is just, I'm so over that at this point in my life. I just don't want to do it. Like there's the odd time where like a blackout or like just a colorway that I really like will come out and I'll wear that. But I find myself more often than not, if I'm not testing out new products, there'll just be one pair of boots that I kind of just keep in my bag and default to every single time I play, regardless of what that is. So yeah, in general, I definitely don't wear new colorways on a consistent basis.
Right. I get you. I'm one of those guys. I'm sorry. And I think on that bombshell,
those are questions.
it's time we end this, because it's getting embarrassing on my part, crying and being that guy rocking new boots all the time. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this 51st episode of the Boot Nerds podcast. If you have any comments or questions around the Vision 2, the new Puma Spark Pack, or the new Balance Furon V6s, well, you should let us know in the comment section right down below. Ask any question you want. You might be featured in the next episode. Of course, if you want to watch more football or football gear related stuff until the next podcast, you can go and check out Josh's channel by clicking right over there for more or less daily videos or something along those lines. It's always really good stuff. You can go and check out what we're up to at Unisport by clicking the green bubble right over here. And you can, of course, also go make sure you've subscribed to the best podcast in the world by clicking the white bubble in the middle of the screen. And with that said, guys, leave us a thumbs up if you had a good time. I've been JayMike, and I approve this message.
Peace out.
Hey, town. You're the first one to laugh at this. Thank you.